Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Collector's Edition Wave 2. Not only that, these are all the Platinum Chase variants. They made a Platinum Chase variant for each figure in the first wave of the Collector's Edition, and followed suit in Wave 2. We have Firestorm, Hawkman, and Sinestro. I got these guys from Big Bad Toy Store, so let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see at the top, 22 moving parts, McFarlane Toys, ages 12 plus, McFarlane Collector's Edition, DC Multiverse, Firestorm, McFarlane Platinum Edition. Here's Firestorm. He has a darker paint job than the regular version. I believe he's based off the new 52. He comes with about 10 hands, 4 of which have energy effects. He also has a display stand, collector's card, and a stand for the card. One side of the package, Firestorm from Crisis on Infinite Earths. This is the 4th figure in the McFarlane Collector's Edition line. Other side says Firestorm at the bottom. Looks like Big Bad Toy Store put their own barcode on top of the regular barcode, but it's not like you're missing anything. The Platinum Chase variant has the same barcode as the regular version, so it won't help you track it down. On the back side, here's Firestorm from the comics. And now for Hawkman. Hawkman, McFarlane Platinum Edition. He's done in his classic traditional colors. When I first saw him, I thought it looked fantastic, but there is some inaccuracies to this guy. Still, it's really cool to have Hawkman in this color scheme. This is figure number 5 in the Collector Edition. Here's Hawkman on the back, and just like the other one, they put their own barcode on top. And finally, we have Sinestro, Platinum Edition. He's sort of in the middle of transitioning from the Green Lantern to the Yellow Lantern. For me, this is going to be Sinestro as a Green Lantern, even though he has some of the yellow on his chest. He comes with some energy constructs, a lantern battery, display stand, collector's card, and stand for the card. This is figure number 6 in the Collector's Edition line. He also has that barcode on top of his, and on the back, here's Sinestro posed up. So with no further ado, let's open them up. Alright, now that these figures out of the package, here they are with all their accessories laid out. They all come with a display stand, a collector's card, and a display stand for the collector's card, and they each have some character-specific accessories. In this video, we're going to take a look at each of the figures one by one. We'll check out their accessories, height, and articulation. We'll compare them with some of their Firestorm, Hawkman, and Sinestro figures, and then we'll compare them with a bunch of other Platinum Chase variants and other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. So, let's go ahead and get started with Firestorm, figure number 4 in the collector's line. Before we look at Firestorm, let's check out some of their non-character specific accessories. They come with 3 display stands. Typical McFarlane display stand we've seen it a million times before. Only difference, this one has DC and sort of silver on it. It's very thin, very basic. Here are their collector's cards. These collector's cards for the Platinum Chase variants are exactly the same as the regular versions, and I think that's a missed opportunity. There should be something at least a tiny bit different. And then here's the back side of their collector's cards. And each of their collector's cards comes with a display stand. It doesn't really do much for me, but if you want to display them like this next to your figure, there you go. So here's Firestorm. He has 8 alternate hands, totally 10 interchangeable hands, 4 of which have fire effects. Firestorm, this version of the Platinum Chase variant is in a darker color scheme, so we have the Classics Firestorm already came out, and then a more modern version here. That can go with either version of your Justice League. Pretty cool. Firestorm's real name is Ronnie Raymond and Martin Stein. The two of them were fused together in a nuclear accident, giving him fire powers and then putting the two into this one body. So let's take a look at him. Starting with his head here. Looks pretty good. His eyes are red. He's got flame for his hair. He's got that red sort of mask thing covering everything except for his face. As you go further down, he has these 3 sort of white stripes, dark red outfit, double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. Overall, it looks pretty good. I like the classic version, but I do appreciate having a sort of less campy version to go with your modern characters. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt. And then here, broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's check out his hands. He has 10 of them, 5 right hands and 5 left hands. Here he is with his first pair of hands. These are his fists. And here's his second pair of hands. This is a pair of flight hands. And for a figure with flight hands, you'd think he would come with a flight stand, but whatever. And here's his final pair of hands. His left hand is kind of open, looks like maybe a grabbing hand. And his right hand is a pointing hand, index finger pointing forward. Here's his next pair of hands. These both have flame effects. His right hand is sort of shooting a flame projectile toward you, and his left hand is sort of a grabbing hand with a flame force. And here's his final pair of hands. This is a pair of fists with flame around them. He can be giving somebody a flame punch, or even defending himself. Now I wanted to check out the differences between this Platinum Chase variant of Firestorm and the regular. The Platinum Chase variant is done in darker scheme and is more of a modern Firestorm. The other one is more of a classic version. Besides the obvious paint differences, there are no sculpting differences. 100% same figure, same sculpt, same articulation. So let's take a closer look. So their heads here. The flame is pretty similar. His eyes are red here, white here. Even the thing around his face is a little bit different. We have sort of gold trim up here. As we go further down, the red is much darker on him. He's got yellow, whereas he is solid red. Belt, a little bit different. They simply just sort of painted over the sculpting details, as McFarlane often does. Beyond that, same figure, modern and classic, and I'm happy to add them both to the collection. And now I wanted to check out the reuse Firestorm has from previous McFarlane figures. All I can see is a little bit of reuse from this Page Puncher Superman. Pretty much the legs are the same, the top half, the knees, even the bottom half, but they did alter the boots. And then the bottom half of the torso is the same, but I believe everything else is actually different on Firestorm. Now they've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories. Now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, right around 7.25 inches tall, which can translate to 18.5 centimeters. And if you go to the top, tip-top flame of his head, about 7.7 inches tall. Now for his articulation. Starting with his head, of course, he can rotate from side to side. He can look up and down a pretty good amount. Tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders, ball joint goes out more than 90 degrees. Up, down, around. Butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest, increasing the range of motion, cover up the gap. Bicep cut. Double jointed elbows. His wrists, going to rotate, and it's going to be hinged. Ball joint his torso, rotate around, forward and back. Another one in his waist, rotate around, forward and back. Between the two, very good range of motion in his torso area. You can't see a big gap there. Just be careful how you're posing him. Legs completely does the splits. McFarlane style hip joints. And got his diaper tucked in there a little bit. They go forward. About that much. Back, not much. Double jointed knees. And his ankle, forward and back. Rotate, tilt, rock, and of course, toe articulation. Now let's check him out. Next to some other Firestorm figures, and I don't have many. Here he is, next to the regular version of Firestorm, the classic. Here he is, next to Deathstorm. Deathstorm is a deceased, reincarnated Black Lantern version of Firestorm. And here he is, next to the DC Direct CW Arrowverse Firestorm. Here are all the versions of Firestorm that I have. I really like these two versions by McFarlane, and I'd like to track down Mattel's Total Heroes version. Here's a look at Firestorm in a burnt down house, surrounded by flames. And here he is when he's really angry. I don't know if he's ever found the actual limit to his powers. Now let's check out Hawkman. His real name is Carter Hall. He's sort of a reincarnated Thanagarian. I don't really fully understand what he is. He's a human, but he has Hawkman's wings. I think they're part of sort of strapped to the back of him. Even after posting the last video, people drop all kind of comments. I still do not fully understand what's up with this guy. He's a human, but he has the Hawkman wings, etc., etc. But this is the classic version, repainted in traditional colors, old school style. Now, there are some issues. For example, the long hair, it's not accurate. They simply repainted the guy in classic colors, and I get it. Hopefully eventually they'll give us a proper classic Hawkman, but in the meantime, I'm enjoying the hell of this guy. The color scheme looks really cool. Really pops. Looks kind of corny, but that's how it looked. So, let's take a look at him. Starting with his face here, he's got that signature sort of Hawkman helmet, the big wings. Looks like feathers, it's orange, the yellow beak. He does have the long black hair, which is inaccurate, and I get it. He's got this sort of harness strapped to him, and that's where his wings will attach to his back. You can see the holes there. Let's go further down. He's got the orange diaper, the green pants, orange boots, one glove a little bigger than the other, double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. They took all the sort of chest hair paint off, and personally, I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, the hair, it's noticeable, but as a whole, I really like this color scheme on Hawkman. Closer look at his face, helmet, and head sculpt. It looks really good, except for that hair. Now let's check out his accessories. Let's start off with the wings. So the wings are big, they're massive, they don't really have any articulation, but the sculpt is great. I mean, look at the detailing on each and every feather. And the paint job is not one solid color, it's a little bit lighter here and darker as it goes lower. It's got a peg similar to his wrist pegs here. As a whole, looks pretty good. These wings are pure reuse from the Spawn Redeemer figure. And personally, I thought they should have used the Batman Who Laughs Sky Tyrant wings because they're articulated. But they are really small, and I think these wings actually do look better on Hawkman now that I've had time to sort of sink them in. Here's Hawkman without his wings. You can see how they're going to attach to his back. And then here's Hawkman with his wings attached. Now let's look at his mace. Hawkman's signature weapon. We have the spiked ball at the top, and then a little wrap around the handle. Poor paint job. And his mace, the Platinum Chase variant, is painted differently than the standard version. The standard version has a better paint job. Here's this Hawkman holding his mace. And then here's Hawkman holstering that mace. Now I want to check out the differences between the Platinum Chase variant of Hawkman and the regular. Only paint differences, no sculpting differences. So, obviously the wings done in a very different color. We got sort of gray and then brown. These are both Carter Hall. This one is from 0 Hour, and this one is from the old school classic JSA. Orange on top, gold on top, both have black hair. Skin color is a little bit different. A little bit, I don't know, more orange sort of added here, a little paler here. He's got the chest hair painted here, not here. Orange diaper, blue diaper and pants. Green pants, green gloves. Just a classic, traditional, sort of campy looking design, and a little more modern version. They both look good, different, and both very welcome in the collection. Now for his height. From bottom to the top of his head, about 7.2 inches tall. To the top of the wings on his helmet, about 7.6 inches tall. And how wide his wingspan is, about 9 inches wide. Now for his articulation. Starting with his head, of course, you can rotate from side to side. You can look up, down, decent amount. Tilt his head from one side to the other. The wings themselves, they can rotate up and down. They're also hinged, can sort of flap back and forth. Shoulders, a ball joint goes out more than 90 degrees. Up, down, around. It's got a butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest, increasing the range of motion, covering with a giant gap. Bicep cut. Double jointed elbows. His wrists, rotate, hinged. Ball joint his torso, rotate around, forward and back. Another one his waist, rotate around, forward and back. Legs, complete as splits. McFarlane style hip joints, rotation non-existent. They go forward, about that much. Double jointed knees. And then his ankle, forward and back. Rotate, tilt, rock, and of course, to articulation. Now let's check them out next to some other Hawkman figures. Here's the Platinum Chase variant, next to the regular version. And here he is, next to McFarlane's Black Adam movie version of Hawkman. Here are all of the McFarlane DC Multiverse Hawkman figures. Here he is, next to a DC Direct, Superman, Batman, Hawkman figure. This thing has broken in like 15 different places. Then, next to Mattel DC Multiverse, CW, Arrowverse, Hawkman, and Hawkwoman. Here are all of the 6 and 7 inch scale Hawkman and Hawkwoman figures that I have. Here he is, next to McFarlane's The Batman Who Laughs. This is the Sky Tyrant version. In this version, he killed Hawkman, took his wings and harness. This happened during the Dark Knight's Metal. Here's Hawkman, next to some original JSA members in their classic costumes. The Flash, Hawkman, and Green Lantern. Here's a look at Hawkman hovering in the sky, holding his mace. Another look at Hawkman coming straight toward you in attack mode. And here he is, flying through the city skies. Now let's take a look at Sinestro. I thought it would be really cool if McFarlane did Sinestro in his Green Lantern outfit. Would require minimum to no sculpting differences, but it's pretty annoying the way they did it. He has the Sinestro Corps logo on his chest, so it's like he's in the middle of changing from a Green Lantern to a Yellow Lantern. Me, I'm going to pretend he's a Green Lantern in my action figure world, but it's kind of hard to get past that detail. I have half a mind to buy a Kyle Rayner Green Lantern figure and pop his hands and head on there, Probably not worth it. Sinestro here was a Green Lantern, but then the power corrupted him, and he started the Yellow Lantern Corps. So let's take a look. He is an alien species. You can see the pink skin. Hate to say it, this guy kind of reminds me of Hitler. The mustache, the militaristic hair. He's got the pointed sort of elf ears. Sinestro Corps logo on his chest. Yellow starting to come out of it, replacing the green. I guess this is right when he turned. It's done on the Kyle Rayner body. You can see his power ring on his left hand. Double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. Overall, it looks good. Just wish that little detail was different. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt. Now for his accessories. We have this construct here. It's made in a semi-yellow transparent plastic. It's got a lot of bend and give to it. It's like a bunch of chains with a bunch of hooks to grab onto you. Here's Sinestro using that construct. It sort of wraps around his arm. Now for his lantern battery. It's also cast in a semi-transparent yellow material, which I don't think is right. I think it should be a solid yellow color. These are not constructs, these are physical items. Still, looks pretty cool. And here's Sinestro holding that lantern battery. Now check out the differences between the Platinum Chase variant of Sinestro and the original Yellow Lantern version. 100% same figure, different paint job. Head exactly the same. Their body is pretty much green, where it is yellow here. They have the same logo on the chest, but yellow's coming out of this one, overtaking the green. Belt, silver on the original, green on this guy. Everything else, pretty much the same, just green versus yellow. And then to check out the reuse on this figure, it's heavily used from Kyle Rayner. Obviously their heads are different. The torso, well, definitely the stomach's going to be the same. The top part's the same, but he's altered. They added this logo here. The arms are exactly the same. The legs are exactly the same. The diaper is different, head is different, top of the torso is different, everything else pretty much the same. Now for his height. Bottom to the top of his head, about 7.2 inches tall, just over 18 centimeters. Now for his articulation. Start with his head, rotate side to side. You can look up and down a pretty good amount. Tilt his head one side to the other. Shoulders, ball joint, more than 90-degree bend. Up, down, around. Butterfly joint, shoulder and chest area. Bicep cut, double jointed elbows, wrist, rotate, hinged, ball joint his torso, another one is waist, legs, complete as a splits, McFarlane hip joints, rotation, non-existent, forward about that much, double jointed knees, then his ankle, forward and back, rotate, tilt, rock, and of course, to articulation. Now let's check them out. Next to some other Sinestro and Lantern figures. I only have the one other Sinestro. This is the Mattel DC Universe Classic Sinestro in his true Green Lantern attire. Now let's check him out. Next to some other Green Lantern figures. Here he is next to Alan Scott, the original first Green Lantern. Then next to Hal Jordan, the most popular and well-known Green Lantern. And here he is next to John Stewart, probably the second most popular and well-known Green Lantern. And now next to Kyle Rayner, another Green Lantern of Earth. And here he is, next to the Dawnbreaker. This is actually Bruce Wayne as an evil Green Lantern from Dark Knight's Metal. Here are all of the different McFarlane DC Multiverse Green Lantern figures they've made. I believe the next one to come out is going to be in Series 3 of the Collector's Edition. It's going to be Batman as a Green Lantern. And this time I don't think he's going to be an evil version. Here's Sinestro, next to the Yellow Lanterns McFarlane has made. Then, next to the Red Lanterns, Atrocitus and Batrocitus. And now, next to the Black Lanterns McFarlane has made. And here are all of the different Lantern figures McFarlane has made. Blue Lanterns, Yellow Lanterns, Red Lanterns, Black Lanterns, and of course, Green Lanterns. There are plenty more colors they can release, and plenty more figures they can release. Personally, I would love to see a Kilowog Mega figure. Here's a look at Sinestro, up in the skies. And a closer look at Sinestro, pointing his construct right at you. Here's a look at all three of these Platinum Chase variants in the city streets, ready for action. Now let's check them out. Next to some other McFarlane Collector's Edition figures. Here's the entire McFarlane Collector's Edition Wave 2, both the regular and the Platinum Chase variants. And here they are, next to the first wave of McFarlane Collector's Edition figures. We have Abyss, Alan Scott Green Lantern, and then first appearance Superman, both the regular versions on the left and the Platinum Chase variants on the right. If the trend continues, it looks like they're going to give us a Platinum Chase variant of every single figure in the Collector's Edition line. Now let's check them out. Next is some other McFarlane DC Multiverse Platinum Chase variants. Here are the first two Platinums they made. The bronze version of Batman and Joker from Arkham Asylum. Then they released the all-gold versions of the Arkham Knight Batman and the Arkham Origins Deathstroke. After that, they released a Platinum Chase variant of Gorilla Grodd and Dr. Fate from Injustice 2. Gorilla Grodd had silver armor, and Dr. Fate was painted a little bit lighter blue, more comic accurate. I did get 3 of these Gorilla Grodds in silver armor. The intent was to use these as soldiers in Gorilla Grodd's army, and use the gold one as Gorilla Grodd himself. Then they released a Batfleck from Zack Snyder's Justice League. This one has the goggles up. This is the only Platinum Chase variant that has any sculpting differences. And after that, they completely switched gears with their Platinum Chase variants. They went with unpainted artist-proof figures. They're completely blank figures, basically. Personally, I wasn't a fan. They don't really do much for me. They do allow you to appreciate the sculpt, because there's really nothing else to look at. A lot of people would complain about these figures. They would order from Amazon and then randomly get a Platinum Chase variant artist-proof figure. And if you're looking at Swamp Thing, big green figure, and then you get this gray one, you're like, what the fuck? That's not what I wanted. What is this? McFarlane does listen to fans. They course corrected, stopped making these because a lot of people were complaining. And I get it. I got these because I'm a completist, but I really had no love for them. After the unpainted artist-proof figures, McFarlane course corrected. They released a Superpowers version of Mr. Freeze, a gray version of the Nightfall Catwoman, and a CW version of the Jay Garrick Flash. I love what they're doing with the new Platinum Chase variants. I love these new paint jobs. They're fantastic. Then they released a Platinum Chase variant of Batgirl in the Page Puncher line, fighting the Frozen. This is the only Platinum Chase variant in the Page Puncher line so far. And after that, they released a Platinum Chase variant of the DC Classics The Riddler, based off the Superpowers, Super Friends sort of deco. The next Platinum Chase variants were from the Collector's Edition Wave 1, Superman, Alan Scott, and the Abyss. And the most recent Platinum Chase variant I got, besides these Collector's Edition figures, is the DC Rebirth Supergirl. She's kind of repainted in CW TV show colors. Now the next Platinum Chase variants is Jim Gordon's Batman and Brainiac. I have a Jim Gordon on the way, and I need a Brainiac. If anybody knows where I can get one, let me know. Here's the entire collection of McFarlane DC Multiverse Platinum Chase variants. The only 2 that are out that are not pictured is the Platinum Chase variant of Jim Gordon as Batman and Brainiac. I have Jim Gordon on the way, but I still need to track down Brainiac. Now my want list for Platinum Chase variants is 1 Riddler for my unopened collection, 1 Jim Gordon for my unopened collection, 1 Brainiac for my open collection, 2 1966 Lord Deathman figures, 1 Spawn Disruptor figure, 1 Dune Paul Atreides, and an older Platinum Chase variant I'd love to get would be 2 Warhammer Tyrannid Gene Stealers. If anybody has a lead and knows where I might be able to get one of those, drop me a line in the comments below. I'd really appreciate it. And let's not forget, I also need 1 DC Direct Batman the Animated Series Platinum Chase Scarecrow for my unopened collection. So overall, I think these are really cool Platinum editions. Yes, there are some inaccuracies, some shortcuts taken, but as far as repaints go, I love what they did. Firestorm, he looks less sort of hokey, less classic, less sort of colorful and bright, a little more serious. I like that. He's going to go with the modern Justice League. Hawkman, he looks much more campy in the original colors. He's going to go with the classic JSA. Yes, he's probably the most offensive as far as shortcuts go, but I don't care about the inaccuracies. He just looks so good. I really like him. And then for Sinestro, well, I appreciate them making a Green Lantern version of Sinestro. I really wish they'd changed his logo, made him a regular Green Lantern. He's from a very specific point in the comics when he's transitioning. As a whole, I think the figures are all great. Yes, there are some inaccuracies, but these aren't the actual releases. It's just a repaint version. As far as Platinum Chase variants go, I love them. I was really sick of those unpainted artist-proof figures. Something like this is a breath of fresh air. They all look fantastic. The color choices, excellent. Welcome addition to the collection. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say with the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.